Before we get started, I need to just say trigger warning about literally everything. If anything triggers you, it's gonna be on this video. You read the title, I read off Wikipedia, so let's start with a fear that I have. Kidding. I love gay people. Not like that. Okay. The actual first one. Phobia is the fear of the dark. Fear of the dark is a common fear or phobia among toddlers, children, and to varying degrees, adults. A fear of the dark does not always concern darkness itself. It can also be a fear of possible or imagined dangers concealed by darkness. Most toddlers and children outgrow it, but this fear persists in some as a phobia and anxiety. When waking up or sleeping, these fears may intertwine with sightings of sleep paralysis, demons. In some people, some degree of fear of the dark is natural, especially as a phase of child development. Yes, the fear of the dark. This is one most people have, just in varying degrees. Like if we're walking home late at night, at the back of your mind there's always a little voice saying you're being followed or you're being watched. And I'm also pretty sure this is like a biological one, because back in the day, we weren't the apex predator, we were prey. We were being hunted by wolves, cougars, bears, all those sorts of things. So when it got dark, we got really worried. Acoustophobia. By the way, some phobias do just have the same name as others. So if the phobia has different names, we're just gonna call it by one. Alright, it's not me missing any phobia, there's just multiple names for one phobia. Anyways, acoustophobia is the fear of loud sounds. It is a very rare phobia which is often a symptom of hyperacusis. Sonophobia, which is a different name of it, can refer to a hypersensitivity of a patient to sound and can be a part of a diagnosis of a migraine. Alright, this one you're probably symbiote or autistic.
Not my fault, I'm autistic!
Acrophobia, also known as hypsophobia, is an extreme or irrational fear or phobia of heights, especially when one is particularly high up. It belongs to a category of specific phobias called space and motion discomfort that share similar causes and options for treatment. Some people experience a degree of natural fear when exposed to heights, known as the fear of falling. On the other hand, those who have little fear of such exposure are said to have a head for heights. A head for heights is an advantage for hiking or climbing in a mountainous terrain, and also in certain jobs as steeplejacks or wind turbine mechanics. This is actually one I do not have. I think I used to have it, but one trip to a theme park just completely got rid of it. I get it because, yeah, you could die or hurt yourself when you fall. Again, there's also like a little voice, like the call of the void, your intrusive thoughts that makes you, I don't know, want to do something stupid. So there is also that, but almost everyone has that. Agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by symptoms of anxiety in situations where the person perceives their environment to be unsafe, with no way to escape. These situations can include public transit, shopping centers, crowds, and queues of simply being outside their home for way too long. Being in these situations may result in a panic attack. Those affected will go to great lengths to avoid these situations. Like extreme anxiety, like being like super homesick basically, like you need to stay home. And in some settings it makes sense, sometimes it's just too much. Not really much to say.
Agoraphobia.
The fear of crossing streets. Yeah, this phobia may result in experiencing a road accident and thus may be classified as a subtype of panic disorder. As such, this phobia, especially of crossing streets alone, may be a component of an accident-related post-traumatic stress disorder as a reaction to a situation reminiscent of a past traumatic event. Sometimes this behavior may be misinterpreted during PTSD symptom assignments as a caution. Yeah, looking in, it looks like such a silly fear, but if you have this fear, you most likely have PTSD because of something happening. There's not really much jokes. There's funnier phobias on here, which are kind of ridiculous, but this isn't really one of them when you really consider what could have happened to make you have that fear in the first place. Acmephobia. Acmephobia is a kind of specific phobia, the morbid fear of sharp things. Is derived, oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys know this once and this one time only. For some reason it has the Greek definition for all of these things. I don't care. What does the fear of sharp objects mean in Latin? Do you know? Yeah, you don't know because you're an idiot. Yeah. Sometimes this general term is used to refer to what is more specifically called fear of needles, or needle phobia, or trypanophobia. Fear of needles is an extreme and irrational fear of medical procedures involving injections or hypodermic needles. Allurophobia. Allurophobia is the persistent and excessive fear of cats. Like other specific phobias, the exact cause of allurophobia is unknown. Allurophobia is relatively uncommon compared to other animal phobias. Allurophobia may experience panic attacks and fear when thinking about cats, imagining an encounter with a cat, or inadvertently making physical contact with a cat, or seeing depictions of cats in media. Cats, lots of cats. They may experience extreme anxiety and fear when hearing meowing, hissing, or other sounds that an allurophobe associates with cats. In one case, it was reported that a patient with allurophobia was unable to touch clothing that had a soft fur-like texture, possibly due to the clothing's similarity to a cat's fur. There is one thing it said. It says the exact cause of allurophobia is unknown, but I think I know the reason. And it also says down here, or the inundated with troubling information about the danger of cats. That's actually why I have a fear of something, and we'll get to it when we get to it, but sometimes if you're just taught something at like a young age, it really sticks with you and it stays with you in making you think something that isn't that big of a deal is a lot bigger than you think. Oh, and another zoophobia. Ornithophobia is an abnormal and irrational fear of birds, as well as a type of specific phobia. The term may also refer to a strong dislike of birds. People with ornithophobia are often afraid of specific types of birds. For example, chickens, ducks, or pest bird grain producing areas. Sufferers of this phobia may be afraid that they will be attacked by a bird, or may simply be very uncomfortable around them. They would usually be afraid of their fluttering wings, the way they move, the way they fearlessly fly up to people waiting for food, the texture of the feathers, fear of disease, or any combination of these. Birds can be noisy, large, and threatening, and may show little fear of humans, especially if they're a goose. Goose do not give a duck. Gooses have that mentality. Anyone with this phobia, just do not show them the horror movie Birds. Oh my god. I thought I was so clever with that, but like, look at this. From the 1963 horror movie The Birds. Yeah, it literally depicts it right next to the image here. Wow. Algophobia. Algophobia is a phobia of pain, an abnormal and persistent fear of pain that is far more powerful than that of a normal person's. According to Sabino Mehta, a behavioral psychologist, the phobic reaction is learned behavior. A common example of this reaction would be an elderly person who hears about all their friends' various ailments and pains. This person will begin to anticipate the problems and experience the results before anything actually happens to them. Acrophobia. Acrophobia is an extreme fear of wind or drafts. It has many different effects on the human brain. Anyone can be born with this disorder or get it later in life. This phobia is most commonly the result of psychological trauma caused by a negative experience with the wind. The experience may be remembered or it may be imprinted on the subconscious mind of the traumatized person. People who have this phobia tend to be frightened by changes in the weather, such as storms. They are likely to believe that the wind has the potential to kill and even destroy, which, I mean, it does. Additionally, they avoid things that remind them of the wind, like ocean waves. This is not the fear of like tornadoes or hurricanes. No, that's a separate one. Listen, the only psychological trauma I could really think about is if you saw a video of like a bouncy house going up in the wind when you were younger. I know someone who had that experience, and that's kind of why they're freaked out with windy areas. Andropophobia. This one does not have a link, and it's just the fear of adult men. I have an idea with this, and it's just like sexual assault. That's maybe it. It makes sense, especially nowadays where a lot of women just hate all men and would rather be in a forest with a bear than a random guy. Anthropophobia. Basically what it is social anxiety disorder. What it is an anxiety disorder characterized by sentiments of fear and anxiety in social situations, causing considerable distress and impairing ability to function in at least some aspects of daily life. These fears can be triggered by perceived or actual scrutiny from others. Individuals with social anxiety disorder fear negative evaluations from other people. I think everyone, in a way, has this from varying degrees. Obviously, not with a huge phobia like this, but even with a huge phobia like this, there's people now, more than ever, who just like stay in their house, not wanting to talk to people. And I get it. Sometimes it's miserable talking to people. It's straight up like a chore sometimes. Apeirophobia. This is the excessive or irrational fear or phobia of infinity, eternity, endlessness, or the uncountable. And it is also known as the fear of infinity. This fear causes discomfort and sometimes panic attacks with intrusive thoughts of infinity. It normally starts in adolescence or earlier. It is currently not known how it normally develops over time. Apeirophobia may be caused by existential dread about eternal life or oblivion following death. Sufferers commonly report feelings of derealization, which may cause the perception of dreamlike or distorted reality. Infinity isn't even something we could properly conceive. Existential dread. Everyone's felt that many times in their life. So this is a very normal one to have.
Phobia.
The fear of being touched. And that's all it says. It's not like, look, I'm gonna press this. Signs and symptoms. This one could, again, possibly could be from a sexual encounter or something like that. Other people just don't like being touched, and that's okay. Apophobia, the fear of bees. This is a specific phobia triggered by the presence or apprehension of bees. The phobia arises primarily from a fear of bee stings. Fear of bees often coincides with the fear of wasps, another stinging insect. And the two are sometimes conflated by people with bee phobias. A fear of bees can affect quality of life with anxiety around outdoor activities. The people with a bee phobia may experience symptoms of panic upon seeing a bee. This is a phobia everyone I know has. That again, I don't. But with this one, it doesn't make as much sense as the fear of heights. The fear of heights, yeah, you could fall and die. The fear of bees? Dude, don't do anything to them. Leave them alone. What I see with these people when they see a bee and they're freaked out, start swatting it. They start trying to slap it. Why? You don't want to be stung, right? Why would you be attacking the bee if it's not doing anything? And yeah, it's definitely not doing anything because if it stings you, it's dead. Like, dude, hang on. I do have this friend. Sometimes it's not always your fault when you get stung, but most of the time it is. But he hopped this fence. My friend hopped this fence during like hide and seek, and I think he like landed near like a wasp nest or something, and he got stung. Dude, that wasn't even his fault. He did not even see the wasp nest, so it would make sense if he has a fear of wasps. But dude, if you're someone, even if you got stung, dude, leave the bee or wasp alone. It won't do anything.
Phobia
is the fear of amputees and or becoming an amputee. I have two things here because this is one without a link. One, when you're a child and you see someone else losing a limb, or not losing a limb, without a limb, kids are gonna probably stare at you because they're curious. And sometimes they might cry, which is, yeah. And when they see that, yeah, sometimes they could just be really disturbed by it. And another thing, the second one, is war. Again, if you and your buddy went to war and you saw your buddy's leg get shot off, yeah, that's going to stick with you. That is definitely going to stick with you. Aquaphobia is considered a specific phobia of natural environment type. Do not get this confused. This is not the fear of drowning. This is the fear of water. Like the material, the natural material, water. How? Actually, there is one way. There's one way you will get this. If you have rabies. If you have rabies, for whatever reason, you get super anxious and afraid of water. Seeing water, touching water. I'm not sure why you get that with rabies. Rabies is going to come back again with the video, trust me. But that's really the only way you could have this. If you're born with this fear, how do you live? You have to drink water. You have to shower, right? Please tell me you guys shower. Arachnophobia. Arachnophobia, The fear of spiders. People with arachnophobia tend to feel uneasy in any area they believe could harbor spiders or that has visible signs of their presence. If arachnophobes see a spider, they may not enter a general facility until they have to overcome the panic attack that is often associated with their phobia. Some people scream, cry, have emotional outbursts, experience trouble breathing, sweat, and experience increased heart rate when they come in contact with any near spiders or spider webs. In some extreme cases, even a picture, a toy, or a realistic drawing of a spider can trigger intense fear. Alright, I absolutely understand almost everything but the picture thing. If I show you a picture of a spider, are you actually that freaked out? I mean, maybe it's a little ugly, but yeah. Dude, I think it's supposed to look cute in this picture. It is not. Ew, what the look at this. It's a whole family of them. I remember searching up spider monkey. Oh, we're gonna do that. Spider. Skip to this part if you actually don't want to see it. Spider monkey. No. Okay, dude. This is freaking me out because of something. Oh my god. Look at that. Look at that, dude. That's gross. That is so gross. Ew. Oh, yeah, this is the picture. This is the specific picture I saw. That is disgusting. Dude. Like the spider. Okay. You know what? I can handle a spider's face. For whatever reason, I can actually handle a spider's face, okay? It's not that cute, but like, dude, that freaked me out. Astrophobia is the fear of thunder and lightning.
Before the thunder.
A type of specific phobia. It is a treatable phobia that both humans and animals can develop. A person with astrophobia will often feel anxious during a thunderstorm, even when they understand that the threat to them is minimal. Many people who have astrophobia will look for extra shelter from the storm. I don't know, this is depicted a lot in cartoons. This might be another biological one because, I mean, the storms used to mess us up when we didn't have as much shelter. Adelophobia. The fear of imperfection. This is literally being a perfectionist. If you have OCD, you could have this. You most likely have it, just in varying degrees. I don't know what else to add. There's not much else here. It just takes you to perfectionism. If you're unable to reach your goals, which is kind of likely because you're a perfectionist, you're gonna have like a lot of symptoms such as depression, anxiety, OCD, OCPD, and very low self-esteem, and even suicidal thoughts, which, yeah.
Agoraphobia
is the fear of forgetting, forgetfulness, or being forgotten. There's 3 things here. If you're afraid of being forgotten, I don't have anything to tell you here because the truth is one day everyone's gonna be forgotten. Another thing, the fear of forgetting, you losing all your memories. This could happen from a head injury or more commonly Alzheimer's. This is a really scary one. That's something that runs in my family, actually, Alzheimer's. The best thing I could tell you is listen to music. Listen to lots of music because music helps you a lot with retaining memory.
Adicophobia.
The fear of failure or negative evaluations of others. This is a psychological construct reflecting apprehension about others' evaluations, distress over negative evaluations by others, in expectation that others would evaluate one negatively. The construct and a psychological test to measure it were defined by David Watson and Ronald Friend in 1969. Nice. People who score high on the F&E scale are highly concerned with seeking social approval or avoiding disapproval by others. Again, I think I already mentioned this with another one, but everyone has anxiety in some extent. This one is a really bad one because the fear of failure. If you truly want to be good at something, you're gonna have to fail a couple times. So yeah, failure is kind of part of the course. Autophobia. Autophobia is the specific phobia or morbid fear of dread of oneself. or being alone, isolated, abandoned, and ignored. This specific phobia is associated with the idea of being alone, often causing severe anxiety. While autophobia is now recognized as its own individual phobic disorder in major mental health diagnostic publications, it is still a disorder that may be treated like any other anxiety-based disorder through the use of medication and therapies. Bacteriophobia, the fear of bacteria. This is also the fear of germs. Common symptoms associated with this phobia include abnormal behavior such as excessive hand washing, wearing gloves, or covering commonly used items to prevent contamination, and avoid social interaction or public spaces to avoid exposure to germs. And that was part 1 of explaining every phobia known to man. If I sound different right now, it's because I have a new microphone. Also, while editing, I realized, wow, I got randomly really loud at certain points. So sorry for that. Very sorry. I'm sure you've noticed, but we're also going alphabetical order here. And we only covered the A's so far. It's not always going to be like that. Not every video is going to just be one letter. I'm already working on part 2 right now. So yeah, I appreciate you all watching. There's nothing else to be said, so goodbye.
Bye. Have a beautiful time.